She said it was just a text. Then I checked her camera, Roland, saw him kissing her neck while she smiled at the camera. My name is Tyler. I'm 32. I live in Denver, and I work in residential architecture. Most days I sketch homes for people. Who'll never know my name, but I love the silence of the work. It's methodical, measured, predictable. I wish I could say the same about her. Her name was Lacey. We met at a mutual friend's wedding in Telluride, one of those overpriced weekend ceremonies where everyone pretends to love hiking and drink $16 cocktails in fleece jackets. She was wearing a burnt orange dress that didn't quite match the season, but she didn't care. That's what I noticed first. She stood barefoot on the dance floor, laughing like the world was her inside joke. She introduced herself by stealing the last mini crab cake off my plate and saying, "You looked like you were done with it." That's how we started. It's off balance and unexpected. Lacey worked in event marketing. She traveled a lot, conferences, galas, product launches. Somehow always came back with stories that made me feel like my job was a nap in a spreadsheet. She was loud in a room and soft on the couch. She talked to Uber drivers like old friends. She ordered lavender syrup in her lattes and once cried. Watching a video of penguins reuniting, we moved in together after a year. Got a dog, Charlie, a mutt with one ear that stood up and one that didn't. We had our routines. Wednesday night Thai food. Sunday hikes with Charlie, a shared playlist called our kitchen soundtrack that we'd add to every time we found a new song we loved while cooking dinner barefoot. She danced while she stirred, always. It never changed. But something else did. I couldn't name the shift at first. It started small. She got quieter in the mornings. Stopped sending me random selfies during the day. Her phone, which used to sit face up on the coffee table, now lived in her pocket, or flipped over, left conveniently in another room. She was still affectionate, still present, but only in bursts, like she was clocking in and out of us. Told myself I was being paranoid, that relationships evolve and comfort sometimes wears the mask of distance. But the lie only works until you start noticing the pattern. It was a Tuesday night when I felt it in my gut for the first time. She was on the couch, scrolling something with her screen tilted slightly away from me, smirking at whatever was on it. I asked, "What's funny?" She locked her phone and said, "Just a meme. You wouldn't get it." I laughed it off. But that sentence stuck to me like wet paint. You wouldn't get it. Since when did we not get each other? The next day, noticed she hadn't posted me in over 2 months. Not that I cared about being on social media, but she used to tag me in everything. Suddenly, it was like I'd been digitally erased. Her captions turned vague. More selfies, more nights out, fewer mentions of we. When yet every time I brought it up, she kissed me like nothing had changed. That's the worst part of subtle betrayal. It's not in the screaming or the slammed doors. It's in the quiet erosion, the dinner conversations that trail off. The way she started sleeping with her phone under her pillow. The way she didn't ask how my day was until she remembered halfway through hers. I convinced myself it was just a phase. Maybe work stress. Maybe she was feeling disconnected and didn't know how to say it. Then came the business trip. She was heading to San Diego for a 3-day brand launch. I offered to drive her to the airport. She said no. She was Ubering, less hassle. I offered to help her patch. She said she already did it. I asked if she needed anything. She just smiled and kissed me on the cheek. It wasn't the kiss that bothered me. It was where she kissed me, on the cheek. You're not the lips. Not the way she used to. Where she'd pull back just an inch and look at me like she knew I'd always be hers. This was a kiss of obligation, closure. I stood at the door. After she left, holding Charlie's leash, pretending everything was fine, but my gut was screaming. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. And I was finally done pretending I couldn't feel it. The first night of her business trip, I barely slept. Kept waking up, expecting to hear her tossing in the sheets. Beside me, mumbling in her sleep, the way she always did, Charlie kept pacing too, like he sensed something off. Or maybe I was just projecting. She texted me goodnight at 10:37 p.m. Just one message. Long day. Room's nice though. Love you. I stared at the period at the end of that sentence longer than I should have. Lacey never used punctuation in Texts not, unless she was being formal or distant. Or lying. The next morning, I texted her a photo of Charlie with a sock in his mouth. No response. I texted again at noon. How's San Diego? No response. It wasn't until 4:12 p.m. that she replied, Sorry. CRAZY day? Launch is chaos. Love you. With a heart emoji. The emoji was the only thing keeping me from completely unraveling. But when she came home, something about her had changed. Her suitcase was zipped up tightly, like she didn't want me to see what was inside. I asked how the trip went, and she gave me the kind of generic rundown you'd give a stranger on a plane. Safe answers. Polished. Rehearsed. Then she pulled out her phone and said she had emails to catch up on, disappearing into the bedroom for the rest of the evening. No debrief. No cuddling on the couch. No interest in me. And just like that, our normal was gone. In the weeks that followed, things slid further downhill. She started working late more often. Her phone went silent at night. She began keeping it on Do Not Disturb, claiming she needed uninterrupted sleep. One night, around 1 a.m., I got up to get water and saw the blue glow of her screen under the blanket. She didn't see me watching from the hallway. She was smiling soft. Quiet, the way she used to smile at me. Whoever was on the other end of that screen had her attention in a way I no longer did. The next morning, I finally asked, Is there something going on I should know about? She looked at me like I had just accused her of murder. Wow, she said. So now I can't have a stressful job without you turning into a jealous freak? I didn't say anything, just looked at her. She added, This is why I keep things. To myself lately, you overthink everything. That's when the gaslighting started in full force. Suddenly, I was the problem. I was controlling, paranoid, emotionally needy. She painted herself as the victim of my suspicion, like my gut feeling was some irrational insecurity I needed to work through. And maybe I would have believed her if not for the passwords. We used to share everything, not officially, but in that casual way you do when you've been together long enough. Spotify, Netflix, even her DoorDash login. Then, one by one, those little digital keys disappeared. Netflix? Logged out? Spotify? New account? Instagram? Private stories I wasn't seeing then, I saw the texts. We were watching TV, something forgettable. Her phone buzzed, and for the first time in weeks, she forgot to flip it over. I saw a name flash on the screen, Matt Event Led, followed by Last Night Was Insane. Can't stop thinking about that moment by the elevator she didn't. Notice I saw it, I went numb. It's a kind of numb that feels cold and electric. Like a storm is building behind your eyes, but you can't cry yet. I didn't confront her right then. Instead, I quietly excused myself, went into the bathroom, and stared at my reflection for a long time. I told myself, you need proof, real proof, the kind she can't talk her way out of. So I waited. I started checking little things. Her calendar, her Uber receipts, they didn't match. Her late nights at work, no Lyft pickups from her office, but a couple from bars, hotels, places we'd never been together. One Thursday night, she told me she had a strategy dinner. With her team, she dressed a black dress, heels, the kind of outfit that makes you wonder who she's really trying to impress. She spritzed the new perfume again. It's the same one from San Diego. She left at 6:45 p.m. At 7:30, I opened her MacBook. I knew her password. She'd never changed it, lazy oversight or arrogance. I'll never know. Her Messages app was logged out, but her iCloud photos weren't, and that's when I found them. Albums she didn't think to hide, or maybe didn't know Sid. Photos from San Diego, her in a hotel room mirror in lingerie I'd never seen. Her and him, mad shirtless, laughing in a selfie. One where he was kissing her shoulder while she held the phone, tongue out like. It was some inside joke. Then there was a video. 15 seconds. Her voice whispering, Did this to your phone, but delete after, okay? Followed by her crawling onto his lap and giggling. I couldn't watch the rest. I closed the laptop. Sat in the dark for almost an hour, heart racing, mouth dry, head spinning. Every moment of our relationship, Every birthday, every kiss, every promise suddenly felt like a lie with good lighting that night. I didn't sleep, but I made a plan. The next morning, I made her coffee just like always. Oat milk, 1 pump of hazelnut syrup, the way she liked it. She took it with a smile, kissed me on the forehead like I hadn't just watched her cheat on me through a 15-second video. I said nothing. Not yet. You'd think the rage would have hit me like a freight train. But it didn't. What came instead was a strange kind of calm, like my heart had already accepted the death of something I hadn't realized was terminal. Over the next 2 weeks, I became an actor in my own life. I still held her hand when we walked Charlie. I still texted her goodnight when she worked late. I still asked how her day was. Every moment I was collecting evidence building. A quiet case in the background of our shared life. I screenshot her photo timestamps, matched them with her Uber history, compiled receipts, cross-referenced with her calendar. I even found a work email she'd left open once, confirming she hadn't had that brand launch in San Diego. She'd used PTO for that trip, but I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to accuse. That would give her power. I would give her the stage. I was going to end it on my terms. Then came the perfect opportunity. Her birthday. She was turning 31. She always said she wanted a low-key dinner with just close friends. So I told her I'd plan something simple. Just us. Quiet table at her favorite Italian spot. But behind the scenes, I was orchestrating something else. I reached out to her sister Emma, who always liked me more than she liked Lacey's exes. I told her what was going on, showed her the proof. At first, she didn't want to believe it, but then I sent her the photos, the video. Her silence on the phone was all the confirmation I needed. Jesus Christ, Emma finally said. You're really calm for someone who's been stabbed in the heart. I'm not done bleeding yet, I replied, but I'm saving the scream for later. Together. We coordinated a fake surprise party. Emma invited 10 of Lacey's closest friends, including Matt. Lacey had no idea. She thought we were going to dinner. She wore a red dress that made her look like the version of her I used to know. She curled her hair, wore that perfume again. In the car, she laughed about something Charlie did earlier that day. I just smiled, my stomach turning. When we pulled into the house Emma rented for the party, Lacey looked confused. I thought we would just go with it, I said. You'll love it. We walked in, and everyone yelled, surprise. She looked stunned, happy, and then Matt walked out from the kitchen holding a glass of wine. That's when her expression cracked. I stood beside her, arm around her waist, watching her pretend to smile. I knew she was doing the math in her head, trying to figure out what was happening. What Matt was doing there, if he'd say something, if I already knew. I waited until cake. Everyone was singing. She was blushing. Matt was standing too close, and when the candles were out, I stood up and tapped my glass with a fork. I just want to say something real quick, I began. To the birthday girl. She gave me a warning look, but I didn't. Stop. You've been an incredible partner. Funny, smart, supportive, and until recently, I thought you were honest too. The room went silent. She shifted in her chair, eyes darting around the room. And since you've been so generous in sharing yourself, I continued. Reaching into my jacket pocket, I thought it was only fair I share what I found. I pulled out a manila envelope. Inside were printed photos from her camera roll, screenshots, Uber logs, a timeline. I handed it to Emma. Can you pass that around? I asked calmly. Make sure everyone gets a good look. Lacey shot up from her chair. What the hell are you doing? Giving you what you wanted, I said. Night to remember. Matt looked like he wanted to evaporate. The room was dead quiet, eyes bouncing between me and Lacey like a live tennis match. You're humiliating me? She hissed, eyes glossy. No, I said. You did that to yourself. I'm just giving you a mirror. She started crying, real or performative. I'll never know. I walked over to her slowly, took her hand gently, and slipped off the ring she wore on her middle finger, the one I gave her on our 2-year anniversary. I want this back, I whispered, in my Spotify login. And then I left. I didn't stay to watch the fallout. I didn't care. I'd said everything I needed to say. I didn't go home that night. Didn't even text anyone to let them know I was okay. I just drove nowhere in particular. Let the silence of the highway fill the space where her voice used to live. Every mile I put behind me felt like shedding a layer of betrayal. By the time I pulled into the parking lot of a cheap roadside motel at 2:13 a.m., I felt hollow. Not free, not strong, just empty. But I slept better that night than I had in months. The next morning I turned off my phone. I didn't want to see the damage. Not yet. Not the texts from mutual friends. Not the I didn't know man messages. Not whatever Lacey might try to send, because I knew she would, and I was right. When I turned my phone back on 2 days later, there were 12 missed calls from her. For voicemails, flood of messages. Tyler, please just talk to me. You didn't have to do that in front of everyone. I messed up, I know, but it's not what you think. I never meant to hurt you. You blindsided me. I thought you loved me. The one that hit hardest? You were always too quiet. Maybe if you opened up more, none of this would have happened. That one nearly broke me, because it was still my fault somehow. After everything, after all the lies, the gaslighting, the months of manipulation, she still couldn't own it. I blocked her. No dramatic goodbye. No, we'll always have. Nonsense. Just silence. Emma texted me a week later to say Lacey had tried spinning a new version of the story that I was controlling. Emotionally unavailable, that I snooped and invaded her. Privacy. But the photos did the talking. Most of her friends cut ties. She lost a brand deal she was gunning for, too. Apparently the guy she'd been seeing, Matt, ghosted her not long after the party. Coward, didn't even say goodbye. I didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel much at all. Just tired. I moved out a few weeks later. Took Charlie, a few of my records, and the plant she always forgot to water. I left the couch, the bed, and the dishes things she had picked out. I didn't want any of it. I found a 1-bedroom in Capitol Hill. Nothing fancy. Just enough sunlight for Charlie and enough quiet for me. Started therapy. Didn't go in with some big goal. I just told the therapist I don't want to be the kind of man who gets hurt like that again and still says it's his fault. It was the first time I heard my own voice tremble in months. Healing didn't come quickly. Some nights, I still woke up reaching for a body that wasn't there. Still saw her ghost in coffee shops. Still heard her laugh in the places we used to go. But it got easier. One afternoon, months later, I ran into Matt at a downtown cafe. He saw me before I saw him, tried to duck into the back, but the barista called his name just as he turned. He froze. I walked right past him, didn't say a word. But just before I reached the door, I turned back and said, "Tell her thanks for the camera roll." He looked like he'd seen a ghost. That was enough for me. No screaming. It's just that sentence, and the way his face fell. Poetic justice, I guess. Sometimes I still think about the version of myself that stayed too long. The guy who believed her when she said it was just a text. The one who made her coffee even after he knew the truth. The man who whispered "I love you" to someone already halfway gone. I don't hate him. You feel sorry for him. He thought love meant loyalty at any cost. Thought being the bigger person meant shrinking himself until there was nothing left. He thought silence was strength. That if he just held on tighter, she'd come back whole. But she didn't. And maybe the hardest part wasn't the betrayal itself. It was realizing that while I was loving her with my whole heart, she was giving pieces of herself to someone else without hesitation or guilt. It took losing her to finally find my own boundaries. I'm not the same guy I was then. I don't ignore my gut anymore. I speak up when something feels off. I don't chase love that hides from me. And I don't apologize for asking for what I deserve. People say time heals everything. But I don't think that's true. What heals is choosing yourself every day. In small ways, over and over again, I still walk Charlie through the same park, where we used to go together. But now, I notice different things. The rhythm of my own footsteps. The way the wind moves through the trees. The sound of my own breathing, steady and unshaken. And once in a while, I still see couples holding hands and wonder if they know how fragile trust really is. But I don't feel bitter, just clear. Lacey got to keep the apartment, the couch, the friends who didn't ask questions. That's fine. I got my piece. And honestly, it's worth more than any apology she never gave. If you enjoyed my story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life stories like this.